So we're talking about the entire process of and how long it takes and what's involved. Can you tell us a little bit more about the entire path from the moment you're seeing the agreement all the way down to the actual money exchanging hands?
Sure. I mean, once we're appointed as the auditors and the licensees are notified, we typically contact the licensee to arrange, some of the audit administrative items. Everything from the location of the audit, the contact people, the number of locations that we may have to visit, for that particular audit of the agreement. And then we also meet with the licensor to make sure that we have an in-depth understanding of the agreement and any particular areas of focus that they want to make sure are covered during the audit to define our audit scope.
I think the in-depth understanding, as Vikram said, is very important. And then we also have to discuss exactly what are the deliverables. What does our client want? I mean, before we go out to the field, we need to understand exactly what they want. So we define the scope and discuss with our client, and then before we plan the audit. And the initial planning involves really looking at the various reports that they've been receiving from the licensee, and at the same time understanding those reports, and then if the clients have any issues with those reports, that's called desk audit. So we do that process as well. And then comes the field audit process, I think, which Vikram can explain.
Sure. So, I mean, once we have a good understanding of what the client wants and, understand the research that the client may have already done, we make sure we go ahead and prepare what's called a pre-audit checklist. So, so that the licensee is on the same page with what documents need to be prepared prior to the audit, so that when we go and actually conduct the audit, everything is ready for us. And so those documents are ready either at the time of arrival, or they can even send it to us before we go out in the field. Then we make sure, once all the arrangements have been made, we go and meet the licensee on the first day of the audit, and make sure we get an overview of the royalty reporting process, and then review all the documents they've prepared, if we hadn't done that prior to the audit as well, and then we assess basically the controls and procedures complying that they use to comply with the agreement.
One of our, I think, advantages with both Vikram and myself, we have a solid computer background. I'm an SAP audit specialist, and he has been a computer audit specialist. So basically, we understand the systems, we understand the various software that the licensees might be using. So we're able to get through the understanding of the system fairly quickly. So that gives us a big advantage. And to our end, we also utilize the local staff, because many countries that we visit don't speak English, and the licensees don't speak English. So we certainly need a translation arrangement. And so we normally take CPAs or qualified professionals to assist us. So they understand both sides. They understand English, they can translate to whatever language that we have to work with. And so the audit process is done as part of the team that consists of someone local, who also would have prepared some information as local intelligence. So we try to put everything together, the information that we asked for, the information that the licensee prepared, the local staff would have done some intelligence work. So we put all of them together before we actually start the audit on day one, or sometimes day one goes understanding the information, and day two we actually start working with the information.
So all of these points are basically to make sure that we conduct a very efficient and effective audit and optimize the time that we actually have in the field.
One of our, I think, if I can say, the biggest advantage that the client has is that on the last day, and we tell that to the client the first day, that we will conduct the audit, complete the audit and then prepare an audit report. The audit report would summarize all our findings and all the declarations that they made, and then we would certainly summarize all of that, and then the discrepancies would be listed as well, and then we will get their agreement by getting their signature on the report, which would then be forwarded to our client.
So we share all of the information with the licensee, make sure they agree with all of the findings that we've documented in the report, get their signature, and then we're out of the field. So a huge advantage for the licensor, because they actually have a report at the end of the audit, right at the end of the audit. And there's no delay. The last day of field work, they're delivered an audit report that shows all of the findings That's one of our key deliverables.
I would think that the licensees would benefit from this as well, because if they're, you know, it's almost like a stamp of approval that they are in good standing and they can, you know, license other technologies from other licensors, and you know, it's all good, right? It's almost like a rating.
That goes back to your question about trust at Audit.
Right.
We trust them. And now, because we actually share the report with them, they trust us. We're not reporting directly to the licensor that they don't see. So it's a kind of a three-way trust, and that helps quite a bit in completing the audit efficiently.
And so the audit report would also show the action items that are required on behalf of the licensor as well as the licensee. So then they can go ahead and you know, involve us as necessary to help them follow up and settle all the outstanding matters.
Great.
So at the end of the day, if the discrepancy is there, we have found it, the licensee has agreed and signed for it, and then the licensor has to follow up and collect the money. So that's basically what it's all about.
So finding the needle in the haystack is really what this is all about, when you think about it. Right?
You said it.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.